behind the magazines that support the paparazzis that won't let people live their lives. Why do we need to know exactly what everybody is doing out there that is a celebrity or whatever?
Exactly.
You don't need to know.
It's unfortunately, it's a campaign of disinformation that we're kind of in an era of.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
right, exactly.
I remember that I was really hooked on tabloids from about 2005 to 2007 as a grown man. I can't believe I was into this, but I really got hooked in it, and I remember I would run over to this one particular shop that allowed you to have a snack while you read the magazines, and I would look at it every week. This is when Britney Spears was melting down all the time, and then finally it was one of the weirdest things I'll never forget. This old black man came walking in finally one night. I'm sitting there with like 3 or 4 of these magazines, like Us Weekly and the Inquirer, all like piled up, and I'm obsessively reading all this stuff. And he said, and this guy was like, what does this do for you? What good is it? Or this girl needs to be prayed for, not mocked or analyzed or stared at. And I felt so guilty that, and then he walks back out and disappears. And it was like, I don't know, it was sort of like maybe it was an angel incarnate coming in there.
That's right. God himself was visiting you.
And I felt so
you
guilty.
Know, right. And when you said, what good does it do you? That's the same thing as, and I see what good it does, because when I think about why do people watch world wrestling, what's the word for wrestling show?
Yeah, WWE, yeah.
Yeah, why do they watch? What do they get out of watching people beating up on each other and talking ugly to each other and bad-mouthing? And then it hit me. We like to see other people worse than we are because it makes us look better. Again, you feel like, well, what's the use of going to God? I can't ever be. We always want. Maybe it's because somebody has picked on us and put us down so much. It's always good to know that there's somebody worse than we are, and that makes us feel better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that doesn't allow you to connect with the Lord ever.
Say that again.
It doesn't allow you to connect with the Lord ever.
It doesn't. It does not. It does not. Because let us go back to the premises of this show. God is love. If you live in love, God live in you. So really what we're pointing out in everything we're talking about, we say you might not be a Christian or considered a Christian, is are you living in love? My next one is you might not be considered a Christian when the sports activity takes away quality time from the family, whether it's a sports activity you watch on TV, which goes for usually 3 hours, football, baseball, racing, or a sports activity that you're out on the course for 9 holes, 18 holes, or whatever, or going to a football game. To go to a football game, to go fishing, to go hunting, usually it's going to take 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5 or 6 hours of your time. And this is okay if you only do it, like this is my vacation day for a day. Once a month, once a week, or something like that, where I have time for myself to really let down and relax. But it's not okay if your family is missing out on you because you're absent. Right?
I was going to say it's also, I would say even acceptable, when you spend, doing those kind of things that help you relax and, bond. It would be great to do that with your family, with the family that you're leaving behind.
Right.
It'd be great to do it with them because then...
play football with them, play baseball with them, or take them with you wherever you're going for something like that.
Everyone's always about bowling.
The other thing is work itself. Yes. Work itself can be another God in your life.
Oh, yeah.
And not many people think about that or see it as being another God. But if work is causing you to be so drained that you come home and you're not even there, it's like a zombie coming home. And the irritable zombie on top of it, and the frustrated zombie, just very, very, you're just not there, and you're too tired to put any love in your heart. You might not be considered a Christian if that offering in the collection plate is $1 to $5, and you think you did good. that you didn't. Because how much do you spend every week? Now, be honest, you guys. How much do you spend every week on fast food, pleasure activity, buying something you really need, a toy or whatever? Most people, I bet, will spend an average of $100 every week on something that is not really a necessity in their life. It's just something, I got to have that. All right, here's one you might not realize. You might not be considered a Christian if you're shepherded in more fields than the one you should be in. This goes to, where are you spending your time? Mm-hmm. Where are you spending your time that God can speak to your heart, that he can give you what you need to feed you, to help your spirit be strong, etc. So we need to be at least sometime every day, not in a church per se, but in a place where you can get time to be quiet, be still, and to be fed again. Just like at your table at least 3 times a day. For most of it, it's more like 5 or 6 times a day. We're sitting and eating something. I'm guilty of that. And we're going to go to that next. But really, you need to be where you can shepherd by the right shepherd and feed on what you need to be fed.
Can I make the transition into food? I was gonna say, you may not be considered a Christian if you don't treat your body right.
Okay, we're going to go there. Okay. You may not be considered a Christian if you go through a buffet line, leave with a heaping plate of food, and go back again for seconds or thirds even. Yeah. Do not store up within your body what is not necessary. Your body is that temple of God. And you were saying, Lillian, we have to treat it right. We have to do what's right for it, and we have to eat right. We cannot allow food to be used as a comfort measure, as a pleasure measure, as something another. I go to it when I'm discouraged and down and depressed and bored. Food is an addiction just as bad as alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, et cetera, et cetera. And too many Christians do not see food as an addiction, but it is. Yeah. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah.
Also as a manipulative device, too.
Say that again?
Also as a manipulative device. Like, if you do this for me, I'll give you this food, kind of thing. You know? Oh, yeah.
In other words, it should never be used as a reward thing, right?
Yeah, well, it's also, we learn things as children that carry over in negative ways as adults. I mean, I know that one problem that I have, why I'm so big, is I don't necessarily eat the worst things, but it's the portion sizes that it was really drilled into me when I was a kid. Like, clean your plate. And and I really, I like.
Don't waste that food because the kids in China are starving.
Yeah, that kind of thing. That I scrape the plate clean, and it's just like I don't need all that food, and but I still do it because it's been drilled into me.
And when I go to a buffet, it's dangerous to go to a buffet.
Oh God!
When I go to a buffet, what you should do, and this is a suggestion, that you take a little bit, a tiny spoonful of what looks good. Is good. You can go get back more of that. But if the other stuff, that don't taste as good. In other words, enjoy what you're eating and make sure you're eating what tastes good. Don't just be eating something, like you said, to clean your plate and not waste food. The other one we're going to say right now is about you might not be a Christian. I'm looking at all my things here to make sure I've caught them all. Okay. You might not be considered a Christian if, again, we're going to go back to, if you still are controlled by your emotions and not have taken the time to go to God to say, God, help me on this. Fine. And it's bring up to me, Lord, what is the root of any strong negative feelings I have that is just tearing my life apart yet? What's the root of it? Don't be afraid to go face that past root, because it'll be quickly brought up, and then thank you, Lord, I forgive this person, I forgive myself. Do whatever you have to do to give, bring that part of you up to be burnt by the power of God's fire, cleansing love. Okay? All right, we're going to go to this, from this over to back to the 2 Chronicles, and lead into the tying this all together. I've got something, Carl, that I'm going to be giving you. I picked this up free, The 4 Signs of a Dynamic Catholic. It's a CD, and we're going to say The 4 Signs of a Dynamic Christian. And it's the one that a dynamic Christian is one who has a consistent daily prayer life of some sort. Whether it's reading the Bible, spending time, it's a prayer life. It's a time drawing away with God every day. They have an ongoing study. They do things, what they can do to read books, to go to church, to continue to grow, to keep that garden fertilized and growing, and the seed producing. And they have a generosity. They are not afraid to give their time, their love, their talents, and yes, their money, because they know that you give and God gives back to you. I can prove that over and over again. Never has failed to give me the money I need in my life.
Yeah.
Time, talent, and money. And finally, evangelization. And this is what's interesting. This is by Matthew Kelly, this dynamic Catholic. He did this research, and do you know of the 77 million Catholics in the United States, he said only 7% is what you call engaged Catholics. In other words, they're really actively involved in living this religion, this faith in God, this love of God. And they're actively involved, whereas the other 93%, they're kind of a little bit here, a little bit there. Yeah, they got some prayer life going. They got consistency, may have going to church, and not all of them, I don't think, though, 90% of them going to church every Sunday. But it's kind of like that robot life. You do it because I got to do this, otherwise I'm going to be damned to hell. Or I got to do this, otherwise I'm going to be upsetting my parents. I got to do this because it makes me look good going there. Even some politicians use church as a manipulative thing to get votes. But only 7%. But he said the good news is that's close to 1 million people in the United States that are making a difference in their world. And then he talks about the tiny baby steps you take every day to get that disciplined prayer life going. Set a time aside, specific time. This is my time. Nothing else is going to interfere. Specific things that you do every week, to read a book, to watch a television program that gives you some new insights and new growth. Anything that you can do to stir up the garden and to fertilize the garden. And then generosity, of course, in your everyday way, to smile, say things to make a difference in another person's life, to just make it a point that I am giving of myself, my skills, my talents, and also my money. And finally, the evangelization, again, in that small way, you can go out and go forth every day to make sure there's going to be at least one person that you're going to make an extra special effort of making them smile or contributing and being more than a reason, be a season in their life, and be helping them grow a little every day, just a little bit, encouraging words, comforting, maybe you might need to give them some help in some way, and I'm not always talking about money here. I'm talking about being there for them and helping them in whatever needs they have. So one person, ask the Lord to lead you to one person that you can kind of spiritually adopt and help to come to know that there's a God of love, not by the preaching, but the sharing of your love. Got it?
Yeah,
okay.
I do. You said something so beautiful just now about being a season for them. Wow.
Right.
It just stuck with me right there. It just be a season, and well, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
I'm smiling right at you right now.
Several times in my life, there's been things happening that I related to 9 months. A baby takes 9 months for a baby to grow. And that's the way it is in a special thing that God brings you into your life. Like it took 9 months for me to write my book and to get it to where I could get it published. It took 9 months for me to be working on, we traveled, and in that traveling time, God was working on spiritual growth in my husband and my life. And there's just times, though, that it's going to take a little bit of labor before you can deliver. How's that sticking?
I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay. All right, we're going to go back to